Good morning. It's February the 28th, 2017, the last day of February, the last day of my February salute to black poets. Today I'm going to bring out a name that I didn't even know about until I did a little bit of research on him yesterday, and that's Brother Lorenzo Thomas. Born in Panama, raised in New York City. Lived on the planet for 61 years, one of the poets of the Black arts movement. Lorenzo Thomas spoke for people of the struggle of our blackness. I'm going to bring you some of his poems today, this morning. I hope you enjoy them. His message was deep, his message was powerful. And his is the last voice that you will hear for the month of February. Lorenzo Thomas. I could have chosen some other name more familiar, maybe a James Baldwin, some of his poems, but I thought maybe I'd come a little bit different today and bring up Lorenzo Thomas. In his words, my voice, because our black history need not be a black mystery. Amadou Diallo, you remember him, murdered by New York City police officers, shot literally probably hundreds of times. Lorenzo wrote a poem called Dirge for Amadou Diallo. I'm going to read that one first. It's hard to have your son die in a distant land. If they say he was a soldier, we would pray the way we always pray, that his would be the final sacrifice and we would understand. Questions will fill that churning emptiness shaped like a boy grown beautifully into a man. There'll be no answers, still we'll understand. If he was a true believer or a missionary, an apostle, or a revolutionary, an ardent altruist, or visionary, in these mean times, maybe instead a hard and nerveless man, a mercenary, then we would dread his noble loss or petty glory, and we would understand. It is hard to have your son die in a distant land. If accident or heart attack, we could blame chance or curse our earthbound ignorance, vow to concoct new mythologies that wouldn't forge us such raw cruelties, marching our hope into coffles towards the grave. We'd understand if someone said he was this son, a prodigal, the kind of man who desperately needs the vice of suffering and hurt and desolation, some intricity to hold him firm, to help him shape his heart into an instrument of praise. The kind of man who dares to summon whirlwinds, to winnow wisdom from sophistication, or we would wail and hold our heads astonished by the wastefulness of fate, this repetitious wastefulness of fate, and understand. But now they tell me of a peaceful man, a mother's son, a father's pride, seeking to study in the learned halls of a distant, splendid, powerful, affluent land, a man murdered and murdered and murdered at the hand of men sworn to uphold the law, not thugs or bandits. And there's no justice, there's no recompense. Oh no, in spite of all our history of terror, in the world unaccounted eons of sorrow of the world, oh no, we do not understand. It is hard to have your son die in a distant land, and harder still when we can't understand. Next up, back in the day. When we were boys, we called each other man with a long N, pronounced as if a promise. We wore felt hats they took a month to buy in small installments. Shiny Florsheim or Stacey Adams shoes carried our dancing gait and flashed our challenge. Breathing our aspirations into words, we harmonized our yearnings to the night, and when old folks on porches dare complain, we cussed them out under our breaths and walked away, and once a block away held learned speculations about the character of their relations with their mothers. It's true that every now and then we killed each other, borrowed a stranger's car, burnt down a house, but most boys went to jail for knocking up a girl he really truly loved, really truly deeply, but was too young, too stupid, poor, scared to marry. Since then, I've learned some things. Some things don't ever change. The breakfast chatter of the newly met, our disappointment with the world has given. Today, news and amusements filled with automatic fire, misspelled alarms, sudden posturing and bellowed anthems, our scholars say. Young people doubt tomorrow. This afternoon I watched a group of young men or tall boys, handsome and shining with the strength of features, Africa's stubborn presence to a declining white man's land, lamenting, as boys always did and do, time to be moving on. Some things never change. And how back in the day, well, things were somehow better. They laughed and jabbed and jived, slapped hands and called each other dog. Next up, Downtown Boom. There are no gospel singers anymore. On the corners they held down for Jesus. Valets park cars at restaurants for fancy people on expense accounts or dates. So many times people come up to me and say, Billy, hey, wait a minute, you not Billy. You can see the new ballpark just past the courthouse. But which way is redemption? Next up, Inauguration. The land was there before us, was the land that things began happening fast because the bombs us have always worked. Sometimes it makes us think God must be one of us because us has saved the world. Us gave it a particular set of regulations based on one, undisputable acumen, two, carnivorous fortune, delicately referred to here as bull market, and of course other irrational factors. Deadly smoke thick over the ice caps, a man in Saigon, Lima, Tokyo, etc., etc. Next up, ailerons and elevators. The backward sea, the wise don't say a word. 3 dreams, 1 foolish and 2 meaningless, are haunting me, disturbing me. One says a golden road was plotted for you in dreams, of course, but that's not where you are when you awaken. The danger is seeing the world as 2 extremes. The afternoons are rushing home to see her, balanced against turning the corner, hoping that our car will not be there. Daydreams are better, nice, watching the planes come in on the last day of summer air, poured peaceful, passengers are few on flights answering demand more than desire. Their stress has been at home or will come later. They deplane calmly. When the white boys and their friend Paul Laurence Dunbar finished high school in 1890, their neighbors knew they'd go high up in this world. Paul as an elevator boy in downtown Dayton. Orville and Wilbur going swimming in thin air. Unfortunately, they never heard of Richard Gallup, David, or Romain Bedin either. Such are the waffling baffling deficits that time imposes. They never dreamed someone would use an airplane to drop bombs on oil-filled dynamite and set Greenwood aflame. Andrew Smitherman fleeing in 1921 from Tulsa to New York to the edge of America. What is this shadow cast across the coming season? Is the still watches of the Negro night, fear rising like mist off a bayou? The danger in the world as is seeing it as two extremes. Is this full moon so indiscriminate that even liars prosper if they launch their web with a new moon? This autumn equinox, a harvest of deceit, leaves the ground rugged, the harvest done, the fields outside the city flat and serene. A single egret stands in the parking lot at the post office, poised and confused. The world automatically recoils into itself. Are you ready for football? For serious business? Are you ready for war? People throughout all history have lived in ashen cities or died in them. Marcel Duchamp was joking, wasn't he, as always, when he said dust-covered glass might offer auguries of our predicament. Oh, mirror, mirror, have my people been distracted so they don't care any longer who they are? How so misled that they believe punishment does not apply to crimes committed in their name? Must war morph from Nintendo game to spectacle to get attention? If all are suspect, could my duplicities be causing this? The way we're all responsible for air pollution. If you keep breathing, if you believe in magic, yes. And that same magic, yes, could stop the rush to madness too. There are scrapes of summer laughter on the street. There's still some music from 2 backyards away. The Funkadelics and Jay-Z resist denial. But here's the truth. You have the right to keep your mouth shut, trust me. Across the room, a person looking like a crazy version of somebody you once knew might be our savior, one who can draw fire out of ashes. At least a lover, maybe. The one to take you a little higher or let you down easy. But don't look this way. It isn't me. Next up, the equinox. There must be other roles you recognize. Sailors at night watch. Soldiers on the picket. But we are shepherds now, and it is spring, and we are talking. Okay, we're not shepherds, but this is useful play. Like shepherds on a dark hillside drawing lines. Between the stars we reach beyond ourselves to meet ourselves. Or are we talking just to fill the space between us, to get over a century that ends in fireworks and worldwide efforts to undo the future? Then we were dancing. This is my real life. The day is still wet. From the morning rains, pavements began to steam. Killer 1970 guitars rattling the dash. Driving west into Majoka landscape. The city in the rear view claps by night, abandoned by the sun. At best, the graveyard chants. Time to get a grip and move on. Oh, preach us some pleasant nonsense. Por favor, amuse us, oh Lord. We are the audience for your sneak preview of heaven. Thrust into this florid maze, trust curiosity to find its way to cleverness. A long-waited legion of idlers arriving after giddy pilgrimage. Then came the prism vision as we saw the world through tears. No, it is spring, 3 days of rain, not biblical, but more than this ground could take. Standing water everywhere. After 3 days of rain, they look like lakes. These fields near Hockley, fields waiting for cotton, corn, or soil. tract homes or condominiums or little malls glimmering like fish scales in the sun as a sheet of egret settle in beside the lakes that will not be there in 3 days and fields that will not be here in 3 years, but we are talking shepherds or boys at useful play. We find the married men at 4 o'clock leaning against their trucks beside the road, sharing half pints or 6-packs, or in the city at a cocktail lounge trying to prolong the day's escape. But there are others who are not here, men who have years to speak of, farmers, retired mechanics. Old men gather at breakfast to direct the day into its starting gate, booting the sun along a slotted course above the never-ending shadow puppet of dance of power, the energetic pettiness of mundane business. These high priests of expected disappointments raise their polyphonic song. Life is unpleasant but predictable. If this is solace, these men standing up against a wall, these are the guardians of future pathways. But it is spring. You feel like skipping, but the costume wants more of a professional state. Where will there be ruins when we walk? While footfalls echo purposes, talking together as gray-haired men with the guy who looked at the stars when we were boys and wondering if there's a God, a girl, a goal, a meaning to the universe, and knowing how you really did not know much more than you did back then. These conversations like diamond facets, like sunlight on fields suddenly made lakes. The subject always the same, yet seemingly transparently deflecting something deeper, more personal, demanding more attention. When you think it over, as you will, inventing what you should have said too late for that noun, and the next time will be deceiving. A boy's job to listen to the old man's lie and learn the music. A boy's job is to listen to the old man's lie and learn the music. I've never been nowhere where the old blues singers been, but I swear to my soul I don't want to go there again. And finally, The Office. I spent the last 10 years in other people's offices learning the alphabets of nods and eyebrows and pursed lips straining for the purse, legs crossed in easy confidence, confident nervous gestures of assurance, approved blue suits and southern dreamed up lies to be delivered, a net of 30 days and 60 days and 90, insanely stretched past the promise into years. Next week for certain floated haphazardly on possibles as slight as handshakes, firm as agreements of subjective verbs, and got nowhere. This happy corner sucking up hard-boiled eggs and Polish Polish hots, the sidel sliding down the polished bar, clatter of friendly pool bars in the margin, not exactly somewhere but a certain place. A regular's dark hair and polished eyes glow in the glasses lined before her face, smoking and berating the mosaic. Jack, when you gonna get me some country music, country chalet pride? Outside as bright as the important phone call I always pretend to await, setting up the lunch meeting at Stouffer's, linen napkins and hopes, frozen green beans. Set up another round of handshake laughter for the pitchers. Hey, sweet thing, when we gonna have that date? The barmaid pouts a 1940 frowns, its honor reaching down to slap me on the back, a gleaming, brazen, polyester clown. Tuesday seems longer than the day before, since I began to organize my life around my office. I stay a little later every day. A little rain hangs fire in the clouds. Next time, next trip, I think I'll bring my wife. In his words, my voice, the poetic words of Lorenzo Thomas. Our black history need not be a black mystery. Lorenzo Thomas spoke from the heart. He spoke of the black experience. It's last day of February 2017. Have a great day. God bless each and every one of you.